Yep, those numbers say it all. Captain America Civil War is killing it at the box office, and deservedly so. As I said in my previous review, I think it's the best film of 2016 thus far. Well, the best film in terms of action, fantasy, and comic book genre. And of course, one of the best things about Civil War is that it introduces us to a character that we've been waiting for, some of us have been waiting for quite some time, the Black Panther. Now let me just say right up front and get this out of the way, and I have no qualms about saying this. I do think that while anyone could direct a good Black Panther film, I think it's important that a black male direct the Black Panther film. Just as I would say it's important that a female direct the upcoming Wonder Woman film, because we're talking about two classes that are underrepresented in Hollywood in terms of being behind the camera, not in front of the camera. Shout out to Matt Damon.
Wow, okay.
As we all know, Ryan Coogler, director of Fruitvale Station and Creed, has been tapped to direct the upcoming Black Panther movie. Now, I saw both those films. I reviewed them both, and I think I gave them both pretty good reviews. They weren't bad films. They did have their fair share of flaws, each of them, but overall I thought they were good films. More importantly, I think that those two films cemented Coogler's style, his tone. That's where I'm a little worried about Black Panther. I don't know that Ryan Coogler is the right guy to direct Black Panther. That's not to say he's not a great director, but his style, I think, is more of an art house kind of small scale, subdued style. And I think it worked perfectly with Fruitvale and with Creed. But when you see how the Black Panther looked under the Russo's direction, I don't see that coming out of Coogler. And we all can agree, I would hope, that the Russos made the Black Panther look amazing. The camera moves were great, his action was great, the editing was great, all fantastic. Now I take that sensibility and I look at Creed and I look at Fruitvale Station. I don't see where I'm going to get that same kind of excitement. I would say the same thing of Ava DuVernay, who was originally supposed to direct the Black Panther. I mean, obviously there would be an issue for me in terms of, again, a black male directing, and I make no bones about that. I thought she did a wonderful job with Selma, but again, a smaller film. Same with Coogler. I think Coogler would do a great job at directing those character moments that I do want to see in any film, even an action film, a Black Panther film. But I'm talking about this film has to deliver on the action, the wow factor. It has to bring the sizzle as well. Now in the movie Creed, there was one scene, a boxing match scene, where we see a camera, I'm assuming on a Steadicam, encircle Creed and his opponent in the ring. And it's a shot that goes unbroken for, I'm gonna say, a good maybe 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. And yeah, it was a great shot, but it was more of a technical achievement. And to be honest, I'm not sure that the shot or the scenario merited a single shot. I found that in all the previous Rocky films, where there is an editing pace that mirrors the freneticism of the fight, that got me more involved. With this shot and this scene, I just felt like I was watching an effect. I was watching how graceful the camera moved around the players, and that's not what I should have been focusing on. I should have been focusing on the drama between the two fighters. So while it was an amazing shot, I don't think it was warranted for that particular scene, and I kind of think it detracted from the scene. But again, it did show me that Coogler has an eye for visual detail. It showed me that he's someone who's willing to play with the camera, to put the camera in interesting setups and situations, but it steals all of the scene's drama because, again, I'm more interested in the technicality of the shot. I believe I brought this up in my review of Creed. As an example, you can go all the way back to 1990, 1991, the film Goodfellas, where there is a classic Steadicam shot where we follow Henry Hill from the exterior of a nightclub. He's walking with his girlfriend, going to take her to see a show. We follow him from the exterior of the nightclub all the way into the club, down through the basement, through the kitchen, and then back up the stairs into the main ballroom to his table. The Steadicam is totally warranted in that shot because we see a character take a linear route from point A and wind up at point B. So it's a straight line. That's not to say you can't encircle your characters, but when you've got two combatants clashing linearly, I don't necessarily want to see a circle, and I don't want to see smoothness. I want to see these two guys, I want the camera to mimic the fact that these two guys are banging out at each other. I personally feel like there are a handful of other black directors who are better suited for the Black Panther. Antoine Fuqua did brilliant work with Training Day. F. Gary Gray, a great director, an underrated director, who did one of my favorite movies, and I think is a very underrated movie, The Negotiator. The Hughes brothers, who directed Book of Eli. I think each one of these directors has one thing in common. They share a common denominator. That being, they all have a proven track record of directing fast-paced action thrillers. And unfortunately for Ryan Coogler, I think that is lacking in his resume. Now, having said all that, if a movie has Ryan Coogler's name stamped on it, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna follow this young man's career. I think it's amazing that he directed two films that had a relatively small scope and then was given the reins to direct a huge tentpole movie for Marvel. That's amazing. But as an example, I recall working as an associate producer way back in the early 2000s at a black-owned advertising agency in New York City. It was a great experience. It was interesting to see that whenever we had a commercial that we needed to produce, whether it was for McDonald's, for Pepsi, for Lincoln, or Colgate, depending on the tone or the scenario of the spot or the commercial, I was charged with pulling director's reels that had the exact same tone and the same type of scenes as we were looking to get for the upcoming commercial. So if the commercial had elements of humor, they wanted me to pull reels for them to look at from directors that had humor on their reels. If the commercial was more of a slice of life commercial, they wanted me to pull reels of directors who had slice of life spots on their reel. So finding a director who is suited for the material is not a mythology. It exists. I experienced it myself firsthand working at the #1 market in the country. Despite how amazing I think Coogler is, despite the fact that I thought his two films were great, I am not out of pocket with this concern. Having said all that, it's a fait accompli. He's going to be directing Black Panther, and I wish him the best. I wish him all success. I want to see a good Black Panther film so we can see 2, 3, 4 sequels. So Mr. Coogler, this is the real QSTORM saying I sincerely hope that you prove me wrong. And that's the martini. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.